Well, as I just stated, it is not really the vibe I personally enjoy myself. Which, of course, in itself, it is not a criticism, right? She's allowed to do as she pleases, in all ways. It's just the reason I haven't been around for a few months, since, the engaging part of that community I do not particularly like. The whole vibe is just not really what it used to be. So that is why I started engaging less and less until I wasn't really around anymore. Around middle fall, perhaps. It was more of a slow decline. But yeah, it was around that time. And while I had made a couple bad experiences at that point already with the community, which is not too new. I mean, if you look at the different community, Hololive. If I can say one thing, then there is that. That thing is that, speaking of most Hololive communities, I would argue they are quite toxic, yes. Or at least that is how it was to me personally. In my experience, I've been called the R word multiple times for just bringing things up I found slightly concerning. Not even in a criticism way, more than a, hey, this kinda worries me, is this okay kind of way. So I would not say I'm new to a community, even while being in itself wholesome, being filled with toxic jerks. I've seen this myself a few times, and usually, of course, people who are kind of jerks scream louder than all the many who aren't. So I'm not gonna say the whole community is a rotten, project is no word. Not a rotten place full of, objectifying people who push anyone in any direction, right? There are a few pervs, of course, as there tend to be with VTuber communities, and somehow are just rude. And, find any kind of comment that goes in the slightest way against the belief as a offense that must be shut down with quite rude language, to be frank. Yeah. That, however, is also not really what I'm going for, since today's criticism is not particularly about the community at large. While there too have been things that connect to the community in this case, the criticism is more about herself. And now we're gonna tread in the territory. Do you dare to talk about politics? Yeah, we all love it, don't we? It is just a thing you can do wrong. Everyone will hate you and blame you for it. But, well, I'm used to being hated, and, well, you have not been given the right to speak your mind freely if you don't make use of this. The feelings and opinions of others be put on the side for that matter. To speak your mind freely is your right, and, as with most rights, it would be kinda useless if no one put it to use, even if resulting opinions might mix from being kinda twisted to being quite rude, I will assume. And so in this comment section, if it gets attention, we'll only get negative ones, since this is how it works. Either that or they will attempt to avoid any kind of brought up points by just saying, oh, your voice is stupid, your accent is weird, or your microphone is bad, which all are valid points, but it is not the matter that was at hand. It's what about this? So before I catch my yapping into two new different directions, before going straight to the point, this video is about patriotism. So I assume when you are here, you are well aware of what patriotism is. Unlike you're German like me, then you have no idea what it is, because patriotism literally does not exist, and you are actually more pushed in the direction to hate your land for simply existing and kinda hating yourself too, since that is the mindset we kinda grew up with. But to be fair, it is quite healthy. Some level of self-hatred that has never harmed anyone. Particularly, it's still better than unjustified pride and, an ego that goes to the ceiling. But Tomoe being American, well, what do we know about Americans? Plenty of stereotypes. One that always, more often, tends to prove itself true. Nothing to be blamed on the average American itself, but still, pride to the land. Which, to be fair, most countries, Americans are the most nosy ones about it, do love the land. Germans are the old ones out about that. I am aware of that fact. Most people are not really raised to kinda hate themselves. It's a weird thing we have decided to do because we are the crooky hipsters here right now. Unless it comes to measuring, that is the American way then. Because then I thought, oh yeah, let's be quirky and do it differently. Feed it be. But that's beside the point. Fact is, being raised in America's school system, you are kinda raised to praise the flag. From even before you can write, it's kinda ingrained to you from a young age. For me, it was kinda like that with church. It turned out to be an atheist, which, proves that brainwashing does not always work as intended. With South Americans, you can see that too. Now, do I say that she's a brainwashed person for having pride into her land? No, of course not. While being flawed, America certainly is not the most evil place. It is by far not as positive as it is often idealized. I think we all can see that. But it is not hell itself. It is not, or hasn't been for long, a dictatorship of any kind or shape or form. Now, where is the point I'm even going at, you might wonder, if you are even still listening to me. Well, the point I am trying to get at is the patriotism has always been kind of a thing of the channel, being a very American channel. Understandable thing, even more so for someone who has decided to dedicate a certain part of her life serving that land, which only proves again that she seemingly loves her land, which is an admirable trait no matter where you're from in my eyes. Now, where I see the issue is ignorance, I would call it, since political opinions might split on certain things. But what we all should agree on is that suppressing any group, whoever it may be, is messy and, well, excuse my language here, but it is kinda what the bad guys in the history books always do, don't they? Because I know people nowadays tend to ignore evil when it's obviously screaming in the face that they are, the bad guys. But yeah, it might shock you, but if all of the world, and most of the world says, that guy's insane and kinda evil, because he does kinda insane evil things, and has one particular kinda insane and evil friend, then yeah, you might consider this is actually the bad guy we are talking about. Why I know Americans can tend to be a bit more stubborn and what's the word, blind to obvious facts right in front of their eyes. I mean, there's a reason, conspiracy theories are that popular around there. There is one thing that would be quite obvious. The current president and what he's doing is far from positive. Not only is he damaging America and its reputation and its financial situation, it is also this kind of turning into a censoring dictatorship, which is always funny, since it's the people that always complain about cancel culture and then being the ones who actually, cancel government, written down history, removing certain terms